Hi, I'm Colin.
And I'm Bert.
This is Dabbing with Washington Artists. The idea is simple. 6 questions.
And 6 dabs.
As we get to know the artists behind the art that makes Washington, Washington.
So sit back and light those torches.
Because this is Dabbing with Washington Artists.
Hi, I'm Natalie Doud, and I am a visionary artist, painter, tattooer, aerial artist, and this is where I say my links and stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, my website is for my paintings, Synaptic, SYNAPTIC -art.com. Or you can find me anywhere as Natalie Doud on Instagram, Facebook, Synaptic Art by Natalie Doud.
For today's series of dabs, we will begin our smoke session with a Brightberry, a Grape Ape, and a Jack Skellington, and we will end the session with a Bruce Banner, a Blue Magoo, and a Blackjack.
Welcome to Dabbing with Washington Artists. Today we are joined by Natalie Doud. Thank you for coming on to our show.
Thanks for having me.
So we're going to get right into it. With dab number 1, we have Brightberry, which is our first indica for the day.
Nice. It's like honey.
I like it. Yeah.
Brightberry is an indica-dominant hybrid known for its unique taste of roasted nuts, mint, and blueberries, and its cerebral high. We picked up a gram of this wax at a shop on 88th Avenue in Tacoma.
You can just pull it out like a regular bong piece if you want. There you go.
Good one that time.
That's better. So for our first question, one we like to ask everybody is, what role does cannabis play in your creative process?
Yeah, cool. So the biggest role is that it helps me get into the flow. To
Okay.
just take away the background noise of everything else that I might focus on, and then just help me just step into the focus.
Nice to kind of help
Yeah.
tune yourself to what you're doing there.
Yeah. And it also has a role in the observation too. So I'll paint, and I'll step back and look at it, and then the way that weed and psychedelics and the psychoactive component of weed can warp lines of motion. It helps me see where things should go next, and it's almost like putting on the motion GIF of on top of the static image. So it gives me a preview of what the next step should be.
And do you have a preference towards either a particular kind of strain or a indica sativa?
I used to be big into the citrus strains.
Okay.
And I always have a tangy pen.
Okay.
So that's my main thing. But I've since kind of opened up to kind of whatever, and then just switching things up I think makes adds a new
Getting
level.
into variety.
Yeah.
Exactly. For our second dab for the day, we have Grape Ape, which is one of my personal favorite strains.
Grape Ape is an indica-dominant strain known for its rich, fruity terpene profile and tendency to leave the smoker couch-locked. We picked up a gram of the sugar wax at a shop on 128th Avenue in Everett.
All right, so for number 2, how has living in Washington influenced your creative process?
We moved out here in 2015.
Okay.
And it was from Minnesota, so we drove out here.
Okay.
And on the way in, we stayed camping in some of the in the mountains in
Nice.
Washington. It was a beautiful view, and it inspired a really big mountain painting that was sort of, it brought in the like divine energy that I felt coming through the sun and the mountainscape, and so I think it was like welcoming me into like elevation. That's a-
So has the Washington art scene been welcoming?
yeah, and then so since then, so aside from the like just the fact that there is this like natural beauty of the landscape, I have met quite a few really interesting and inspiring artists. And every year pre-pandemic, we used to go to the Imagine Festival at Doe Bay.
Okay.
And that has been such a consistently great experience, such a magical place, so many magical people to meet.
That
I've
sounds like
painted
a lot of fun.
there, I've performed on aerial arts there, and I've just met so many incredible people.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Have you discovered any other like arts festivals and stuff that you went to at least pre-pandemic?
Yeah, that one was our favorite, but we actually also got to go to like a couple other like small ones. We were involved in a group called Zepto Space, and they did this really like intimate self-run festival called Fluidity.
Okay.
Yeah, and I really enjoyed getting to experience that like newness of something just like being built from the ground up.
So how would say doing your art at a festival like that differ from like say doing it at home? Like, is there a whole different process involved?
Yeah, there's definitely like a buzz of the energy there that goes into the paintings. It's like the people, the land, the weather is a huge piece of it. Most of the years at Imagine, it would rain, and if it wasn't raining, it was like misting. So everything was super moist. And so I think every painting that I have painted at Imagine Festival has had to like deal with some level of dripping.
Okay.
Which is like just a really like it can be a really fun element of like challenge to
Sure.
play with and to work
Yeah,
with.
yeah.
It can also be really frustrating. So that's just been like an interesting, consistent challenge of that particular festival.
Nice.
And then you get to see that all of the artists are working with the same challenge. And so you're
Same
looking at
issues
someone
and
else like,
stuff.
how are you dealing with your drips? Oh, you're integrating them. Oh, you're wiping them away. Oh, like you've stopped painting.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So for our third dab, we have Jack Skellington.
Jack Skellington is a sativa dominant strain known for its uplifting and energetic high and distinct taste of sweet citrus and diesel. We scored a gram of this wax from a shop on 112th Avenue in Everett.
All right. Excellent. In addition to being an accomplished painter, you are also a tattoo artist. What are some of the difficulties of transferring a busy and complex canvas piece to human skin?
It's definitely a different process. My painting process, I feel like tattooing is more like my design process. I actually have a background in graphic design. That's what I went to college for. And then I ran an interactive design firm for a while, so I have like these hats that I wear. It's like designer hat and artist hat.
Okay.
And I feel like tattooing leans a little bit more to the design hat, but it also has an element of the art that I really like in it. And so I feel like it gets to use more parts of my brain. It uses a lot of different of the parts of my brain, and it's like, oh wow, like it's these people skills that I have that I used in this way over here. It's these design skills. It's these like symbol creating skills that I did when I did logo design. So I'm just like constantly wearing all these different hats. It's like I get to dust that off and like, oh, I get to use that too.
Awesome. And kind of living, like I know like graphics design, catching the eye is important and things like that.
Yeah.
So like has that changed how you approach that? Like from say something you might have done on canvas?
Yeah, On canvas, it's definitely a little bit more of like a free flow process, and it's like I want more chaos. You know, like sometimes that's where I was saying with like the drips at the Imagine Festival, like that was an element of chaos that like allowed this like wildness to come through. And sometimes it's like more emotional. Like a lot of times I'll go through a phase with a painting where I just fucking hate it, and I like, you know, I hit this like moment of despair of like it's just not gonna work, and then like usually, and not all the time, because I do have like a fail shed, but usually it like turns into like, yes, that's where I was going.
Yeah, you're not the first artist to tell us that they hit that like I hate it stage.
Yeah. I'm sure a lot of people have talked to a lot of other artists about that, and it's such a like real part of it. And I think that's why people tell artists that they're brave, which I always find funny because like, you know, my like I have a partner who's like a surgeon. She like once said like, oh, like I don't know that I like have the bravery to like just like start something from nothing, like a painting or whatever. Like, you open people's bodies, like people die if you fuck up. Like if I fuck up, like I get sad. Like.
So for our fourth one, we have Bruce Banner.
Bruce Banner is a sativa-dominant hybrid known for its kick of energy and tendencies to leave the smoker chatty and social. We picked up a gram of this crumble at a shop on 88th Avenue in Linwood.
So, your work is very clearly influenced by a lot of the visionary arts movement, with portrayals of abstract energies, electromagnetism, and motion. What can you tell us about the process of visualizing these energies before you put them to canvas?
Yeah. That's a super spiritual side of the art. And it you know, and then in some ways weed is a big help for that too. So sometimes there'll be visions that I'll see, like just while meditating, or sometimes I'm inspired by like sex, or by just like feelings that I'll have in like relationships. It's a super like internal and emotional thing, and so it's almost like me trying to like exteriorize what I feel on the inside, in the same way that like my fashion and tattoos are all about that sort of, it's all communication, it's all expressing, trying to make the outside match what the inside is.
And what are some of like some of the challenges in expressing that visually? Like, does it always come out the way you kind of saw it in your head, or?
No. No, I definitely feel like, I mean, there's like, this is everything you feel and sense. This is like everything that you're conscious of that you sense and feel. This is everything that you can like express about what you experience. And this is everything people will understand about what you express and what you experience. So there's a lot of stuff that like you just can't express.
Sure.
And sometimes it's like absolutely not what you expected it would be, but it's just, I'm sure so many other artists express it in this way, but I think there's like a like just a general understanding that it like comes through you. And so it's not like designing feels more like me directing the ship. Art feels more like source directing the ship. If that makes sense.
Okay, so for number 4, we have Blue Magoo.
Blue Magoo is an indica-dominant hybrid with a rich terpene profile of berries and fruit, and is known to leave the smoker couch-locked and relaxed. We picked up a gram of these diamonds in a shop in Linwood.
Oh, pretty easy actually. Your work is similar to other artists in the visionary art movement, exploring things like abstract energy, electromagnetism, anatomy. However, your style has some distinct differences as well. Um, what can you tell us about how you approach the subjects in different ways that are unique to your style?
I've gotten to be able to participate at the Chapel of Sacred Mirrors with the Allison Gray.
Alex Gray.
Run in New York. And so I feel like really blessed to have been able to be a part of like this, like, it just feels like there's this like energy of movement that's like everyone's holding it, like you're holding it too. You're holding it too. And I think everyone like expresses it differently. And I think, I mean, I have a wide breadth of style that I end up expressing through. And so I think it's sometimes it's like more abstract and a little bit less representative than stuff that you'll see often in that movement. And so you kind of have to I lost that train of thought, like me being on a dabs.
It's okay, totally all right.
But yeah, usually it's like my expression just kind of comes more in abstract lines.
One of the things I noticed that you kind of separated you is you like to use a lot of like fluid geometry instead of static geometry, where I noticed a lot of the pieces look like they're kind of holding still, but yours tends to look like they're in motion. Quite a bit more.
I think the fluidity of motion, I think that maybe stemmed from, I took a color theory class in college, and it was like super rigorous, and it was like the leader class in the graphic design world, but they taught us how to like analyze abstract like design compositions.
Okay.
And the way that we would do critiques is we would sort of express where our eye moves first, second, third, and then like when it leaves the page, right? So to me, one metric of measuring the success of a design piece or an art piece is how long can you keep a person's eye there. And so that's where like a lot of the like fluidity of motion comes. It's like I'm trying to take your eye on a journey, and it's like a performance in paint. I'm also a performer.
Okay.
So I think that's maybe where that comes from too, is like I'm trying to avoid you being thrown off the edge of the paint.
But you still want to like take somebody and just kind of let them run and go and see where their mind takes them while they're observing your pieces.
It becomes fractal in that way, and the fractals can take you on a journey where it's like you like flow into it, and it's like, oh, I'm like really far away now, and that's like one of my goals of paintings is to skidoo.
Exactly.
Blue's Clues.
Okay.
You're gonna see that.
Yeah.
Blues Skidoo, you can too, and then he like jumps into the painting. Like I want you to like enter it. It's like a portal. Yeah.
Absolutely. For our final dab here, we've got Blackjack.
Blackjack is a sativa-dominant hybrid known for its kick of energy and tendencies to leave the smoker chatty and social. We found a gram of this diamond sauce at a shop on 174th in Arlington.
So, for our last question, your piece, Bomb Defused, is a very personal piece to you, at least it looks that way. What can you tell us about the process of telling such an intense story from your life through the multi-dimensional perspective you give us on canvas?
Yeah, a lot of times art is just, what are the words I called it? It's our emotional gut flora. It's the gut flora of our emotional digestive system.
Okay.
And so it's like a way to, it's like an enzyme for alchemy, for emotional alchemy.
Okay.
Which is like a big part of what I want to do and like bring for people in tattooing, which is like the transformational magic that can happen through art and through that experience too. And so for me, it was like a necessary way of like moving through emotions, and it was just this like intense expression of like what was happening inside that just like needed to come out. And when I was painting it at Imagine, somebody came up to me and told me that like their wife had like a really challenging birth situation as well, and that she wasn't able to transmute it, and it was like she didn't have like an outlet or a place for it to go, and it just got worse and worse. And so
I can understand that.
It's just like that's like your work, right? Like as a human being is to like process your shit. So it's like if you don't, it comes out wrong.
And that's a great way to bring yourself catharsis in a very high stress situation like that.
Yeah.
So how does that, for you when you're painting a piece like that, how does that differ than like say when you're doing some of your more like sacred geometry stuff or?
It's definitely more vulnerable. Yeah. I mean, it's a very like raw piece to do, and it was like having those conversations is like absolutely part of that healing work.
Okay.
And the more times like you tell that story, like visually or like verbally, like the more it loses its grip, right? And it's like it gave me that opportunity to talk about it and to express it, and to like have feedback too of like others who had gone through similar things, or like other people's stories, whether they were different or like everyone's story is so like unique and different, and it's like it's this way that you like can connect to the whole world, and like so many people have gone through such a like huge event but in such different ways, and so I think it's
absolutely
it's like a shared thing.
Hey guys, thank you so much for joining us on another episode of Dabbing with Washington Artists.
Make sure to share with your friends and click like and follow below for more great content. Also, check the links below for the more information about the artists and some of their current projects.
Do it.
Do it.
Do it.
Do it. Do it now.